I just know. I can't tell you. I just know. I know I have a soul. Your soul is your mind. Your mind, will, and your
You
emotion.
just know? Well, how about I just say, I just know you're wrong?
Well, you have the right to say that.
I know, but like, you don't think that's good enough reason for me to believe it. So if you don't think that's good enough reason for me to believe it, why do you use that same reasoning for your view?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I just know if you ask a Christian person, they're going to tell you they just know that they know and they can't explain it.
Rodrigo, I appreciate the $1.44. Thank you so much.
But I
And
don't.
if that is true for every Christian, I think that demonstrates a really big issue. Like, why should anyone believe in this if they can't, if no Christian can define specifically a reason as to why this is true? If no Christian can identify that, I think that's pretty good reason to believe that we don't have enough reason to say it's true.
But you don't need a reason.
Yes, you do.
You don't. Well, you might need a reason, but I don't. I don't need a
Any
reason.
person, any reasonable human needs a reason. Okay. Are you saying that you should be unreasonable? Like, come on. Obviously, you don't believe that, right? You
No,
should be reasonable.
but I've also. Now you're probably gonna say something about this, but I've been where I've felt God's presence, and there's no denying it.
Yeah, no, you feel like that, but how do you know that to be true? And I promise you, it's not. Even if you do feel like it was a God, it's not the Christian God by any mean, by any means. Okay, we've just shown it's conceptually impossible
To what? Feel God?
for a perfect God to want to create us. That's
No.
conceptually impossible.
Wait. God is perfect, but we are not perfect. So God did create us perfect.
Yeah, so imperfection is less desirable than perfection, right? So God goes from perfect state where he exists alone to state where there's God plus imperfection, which means that the state of affairs that exists are imperfect because there's a flaw. It's not flawless. So God goes from perfect state of affairs to imperfect state of affairs, which means God engages in a less desirable action. So you can't say God desired to engage in a less desirable action. God preferred to engage in a less preferable action. What?
Well, well, God created man, and then I guess you know the story, Adam and Eve and all that. And then at the time of Moses, God flooded the earth because of the people, because they were in so much sin.
Yeah, so God committed ethnic cleansing, and you believe that to be justified.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. I don't know
So
God.
did it not say in the Bible that he killed every living being on the planet except for Noah's family?
Yep. He said,
Oh, okay, so if he killed every living being on the planet except for Noah's family, not only did he prefer incest, but he also engaged in ethnic cleansing. So you're saying ethnic cleansing is justified and incest is justified.
I wouldn't call it ethnic cleansing because it was God that did it. It wasn't us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. God ethnically cleansed humans.
Well, I guess he did.
Yeah. So
Why?
like do you think some ethnic cleansing is justified?
No, not today.
Okay, so then God engaged in an unjustified action, which means he did something evil.
I don't think it was
Therefore, he's not all good.
to him. Okay, so if you said God is perfect and you wouldn't want anything imperfect, so he wiped them all out and started over.
Well, he wouldn't have created them in the first place. He's all knowing, right?
Like knowing, I know what you're saying, that he wouldn't have created man if he knew they were going to be imperfect. I don't know.
He wouldn't have created them even if they were perfect because or else it would just be random. He wouldn't have wanted created them if they were perfect. But it being random would contradict like, the Bible and Christianity and saying he wanted a relationship with us.
How do you think we got here?
I have no clue.
No.
Okay, but it's definitely not Christianity. Okay? That's all I'm telling you.
And I mean, you have the right to believe that, but I'm just
Oh,
saying,
I mean, it's reality, okay? It's not just what my belief is. I could sit here and say I believe Christianity is true. I could sit here and say I believe the tooth fairy is real. None of that changes the reality that Christianity is false, right? None of that changes that.
Well, I still
I'm
believe.
not trolling. The notion of a tooth fairy is actually more coherent than the notion of the Christian God.
No,
I'm
I
not trolling when I say that
understand that. I'm not.
because one's actually logically possible.
But, I listen to you a lot and I understand where you're coming from. But when you really believe, like I do, there's nothing, and I can't prove to you.
Yeah, and
So,
that's your confirmation bias. So I can literally show you that it's fake. I can show you that you're living a lie when you're following Christianity, and you're still gonna believe it.
yep.
That's a cult. That's what cults do. Okay.
Run by a man.
The only reason why Christianity isn't considered a cult in the modern era is because of how many people believe it. Think about that.
And okay,
That's the only reason. It's a bigger cult. That's literally all it is. Christianity is a big cult. That's it. Like,
how do you think Christianity and the Bible? Well, I don't know when the Bible was written. The Old Testament was written first in the scrolls and all, but why did it last so many years? And why this one man, Jesus, who is God in the flesh, affected so many people's
why did
lives?
Muhammad affect so many people?
It's not the same.
Dude, there have been many people throughout history that have impacted plenty of people. That doesn't mean that like everything they're saying is right.
Somebody put past his wife. I bet she has some secrets. I don't have no secrets. Really think about it. And when people curse, what do they curse? Do they say, "Oh, Muhammad, damn it," or God, or Jesus?
Muhammad's a prophet. When they're saying God, again, that's a cultural thing, and God can be in reference to not only the Christian God, the Muslim God, the Hindu gods, the Greek gods, right? Any notion of God. Okay.
And Jesus is the only one who was raised from the dead. That his tomb is.
And you have no reason to believe that. I rose from the dead.
You might have.
I have. And there are people in chat that have seen me rise from the dead. Okay. I actually have better evidence for us to believe that I've risen from the dead than the what's in the Bible. First of all, everything that's written in there isn't even documented for, a generation plus after Jesus died. Okay. That's when we get the original ones from, not the original ones, the ones that we have from. All right. Whereas this information, there are people here today that will testify to this.
A lot of things in the Bible, I believe they're true, but like when you were talking about the Amalekites and Saul and what.
Amalekites, how he said to literally kill the men, women, children, and infants.
And so that story or event, if a preacher was going to preach on that, it would be about having things in your life that you don't let go of, and how when they grow, they can come back and destroy you. Does that make sense to you? It's a story, but it's also I don't know if it's historical. I can't tell you.
So then you think it didn't happen?
I don't know.
So how do you know the resurrection is historical?
Well, I hope it is. I do have my doubts sometimes.
When every belief that you have just relies upon hope, I don't think that you have really good reason to believe it.
Well, I do.
Jess, thank you for the $6.66. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jess. Yeah, so is there anything else you'd like to go over or talk about?
No, that's good.
Appreciate you coming up.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, let's get the next person, everyone. Stop disrespecting her religious beliefs. Saying that they're wrong, if you consider that disrespectful, I don't know what to say to you. Because, you're saying that there shouldn't be any discussion or debate. Yo, what's up, Powell, do you?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, do you think that Christianity is true?
I think it's, true in a sense. How would you define Christianity? Just so I know.
I'm asking, do you believe like Jesus resurrected from the dead? Do you believe he's God?
I mean, yeah, I would say, yeah, I believe all that. Not in the same way that I believe in gravity, but I'm one of the people who believe you can keep science and religion separate.
Okay, so what do you mean you don't believe it in the same way that you believe gravity?
Well, I don't believe it. If I was going to say, believe something about the physical world, I would rely on my physical senses. I would rely on empirical evidence and stuff like that. But if I was going to have moral and ethical beliefs, I would kind of use a different set of standards for that.
Yeah, because you'd be describing your psychological preference, right?
Sure.
Okay. So all you're saying is you have a psychological preference for God existing?
I say
I have a psychological
choose to believe
preference for
without
being
any
a
evidence.
Pokemon master.
Sure.
So are you saying that they're true in the same sense that if I say I have a psychological preference that I'm going to be a Pokemon master, like Ash Ketchum and win all the gym badges, that's true?
If that's what gives you motivation to, continue life when it gets hard, if that's what gives your
that's
children a way to
instrumental.
grieve you and stuff like that, then I think that's a great religion.
That's instrumental then. It's only for its use value. It's not for its truth. Okay.
Sure,
Use
but
and
I
truth are
think
two
it's
different
very
separate
useful.
things. Okay.
You say, is
you
it
saying
wrong?
that people have belief systems is useful. Sure. I don't know why you have to tie it to a notion of a God.
I mean, for me, it's my family's tradition. There's a lot of reasons why I picked Christianity specifically, but I think to say it's fake, it's not a history, it's not a science, it's a religion. Is it a fake religion?
Yes. Because again, I'm saying it's false, right? And this is because it's not conceptually possible. It's not possible for a perfect being to want to create.
Well, I mean, I disagree with that, and we could honestly debate that. I don't think that's
Go for
that's
it.
really what I'm going here for. When you say Christianity is fake, it's fake as in it's not a history, it's not a science, but for what it is, which it's a religion, it's not a fake religion. It's a real religion.
Dude, I think you're purposefully misinterpreting what I'm saying. I'm saying it's
maybe a little
false.
bit. It's not. It's false. If you want to say it's, I mean,
Is what I'm
you don't
saying
have false up
unclear?
there, but you have
I don't
fake.
think I don't. Yeah, obviously, I think that you can use those words interchangeably. I think what you're doing is you're supposing your own notion of fake upon mine, even when I'm telling you the way that I'm using the term.
Well, that's why I started saying if you could define Christianity, so you could say what is fake about it.
I'm saying the Christian God isn't real.
Okay, and I'm saying he is, and it lies
And I'm giving you
outside the
reason
realm
to
of something
believe
to
that's
prove.
not true by saying that it doesn't make sense logically speaking, right? Like there's a contradiction with a perfect being wanting to create this world.
Why do you? I understand from my belief in Christianity and reading the Bible why God wanted to create the world,
No,
and I
it
could
doesn't
describe
make
that, or
sense.
you could tell me why you think God wanted to create the world, or wouldn't have been able to want to.
Yeah, because that would entail that there's something more desirable than perfection. What does that even mean? Isn't perfection the most desirable state?
I guess that's kind of a moral assertion.
No. Perfection is flawless. If something is
Right.
flawless, it shouldn't be different, right?
That's correct, but saying that perfection
Okay,
is
so
the best
if it
thing.
shouldn't be different, why would God create? Because the state of affairs that existed, God existing alone, being perfect, right? It shouldn't be different. It's the best state of affairs that could exist. It's the most desirable state. If it's the most desirable state, how could something be more desirable than it?
I don't think it was the most desirable state for God to just exist by himself without
No, then he's
any
not
other
perfect.
beings that had free will. He wanted to exist with other free will beings that had free will, but always chose to be good.
So then you have to concede he's not perfect. And that's the issue.
Well,
Okay,
it
now
depends on
you've
what
just contradicted Christianity. Now you're not a Christian.
he's what. Well, I'm not a Catholic, so I don't have to believe in the Catholic catechisms and stuff like that.
Oh no, I'm talking about Psalms. Psalms indicates this. Do you disagree with Psalms?
I don't think Psalms is the word of God. If you know what Psalms is, it's pretty much just poems. It's poems about God. It's
Oh, okay.
and
So
Proverbs.
you don't think that's inspired by God? So why
think
are
it's
some
inspired by
parts
God.
of the Bible inspired by God and others aren't? Because you could point to many points in the Bible, like in the context of the gospel, where it's not specifically written by God.
Yes. Like, do you think that like Corinthians is the word of God?
Well, that's going to be Paul. Do you think that's inspired?
I think it's inspired, but Paul admits himself over and over again in Romans, Paul is heavily flawed, and he's the one writing this stuff.
Okay, so then if God wanted to give us a message, why did he leave it up to flawed human beings? So God wanted a flawed message when he could have had a flawless message? That's incoherent.
I mean, God wanted Paul to deliver messages to the church, but God doesn't want to mind control Paul and literally move his hand across the paper.
You don't have to. He could have spoke the Bible into existence. Yo, Stephanie, thank you for the $6.66. Thank you so much.
That's the thing.
Chat. My Venmo, it's in my bio. It's Parker COL. Just letting y'all know.
God doesn't want to just control people to be good. He's giving you a free choice and seeing who makes the right choice. It's like when people say, why didn't God make some utopia where no one gets cancer and everything's beautiful? He's making that later. That's not what this stage of reality is supposed to be about. Everything's not supposed to be perfect.
Okay, so then God wants flaws, and that's incoherent.
God wants to make a chaotic, imperfect world where people
Carrie,
can
thank you for
choose
the
to be good or evil.
$6.66. Thank you so much.
That's the method that he's made in his perfectness. That's what he's decided he's going to do in order to create people who have free will and are good.
No sense at all. Flaws are things God doesn't want. Okay, he can't want.
Well,
something
that's you. That you're saying that. I'm not saying that.
Oh my gosh, what is a flaw?
A flaw is something that, if we're talking about perfection, a flaw is something that sets you apart from perfection, that makes you less than perfect.
Which is undesirable.
Sure. Well, depends on what you mean by desirable. What did God desire?
Want. Desire means want.
Right. What did God want? Did God want to remain alone in his perfection, in his pristine, clean, like...
Oh, okay, so then, is his existence alone the most desirable state?
His existence alone. The most desirable state. No, he desired to have...
No! Okay, so he's not perfect.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by perfect. He wants to be with... He wants to be...
Most desirable, flawless.
But desirable from, like...
God's perspective, not mine.
God's perspective. I think God desired to be with other minds that had free will. And he can't do that on his own.
Okay. Oh, okay. So then he's not perfect. He's perfect with others, but he's not perfect alone.
But guess what? He's doing something to create that. So,
but he's perfect with others, not perfect alone.
Right, and in the end, he gets the other. He gets it. He gets that.
Hold up, I can't hear you.
Would make him perfect. He ends up getting it in the end.
Yeah, but he's not perfect himself always, which contradicts your beliefs because you believe that God is always perfect.
I believe God exists outside of this linear, like, experience of time that we're having.
Always perfect.
Always is something from your perspective because you're experiencing time from the beginning to the end. God experiences all the time, all at once. God can't be
outside of time and create things because creation implies a state prior and a state after, or a simultaneous cause, which both of those are temporal notions. Can you give me an atemporal notion of causation?
Yeah. How about if time needed a start or time needed a creation, someone would have to have create time outside of this understanding of before and after.
I just told you it doesn't make sense to create. Creation supposes time. Can you give me a notion of creation that does not suppose time?
Creating time. Or are you saying time was never created, it just always existed?
Yeah. By definition, time would have always existed because always is temporal.
So thank you so much. I feel like your logic is still bound by the understanding of time already existing. Like you're thinking of creation in terms of time because you have to. That's how you think.
You can't give me a notion of causation outside of time. If you can provide it, I'd love to hear.
Oh no, that's a good. No one's ever asked me that. I would have to think about that. Maybe I don't have time in this live.
What's up, Nani?
the only thing I'm thinking of is creating time. You don't believe time was created, so
Cameron, thank you for the $22 on Venmo. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Time is a description of a series of events. The concepts we use to describe time is definitely something that was created. The notion of what we're describing, right? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense that it would have.
do you believe time could be analogous to kind of a spatial dimension? How some people say time is like the fourth spatial dimension?
Yeah, people just refer to time as the 40.
And do you think that's just an analogy, or do you think time actually could be in some ways viewed as just another spatial dimension?
I'm not quite sure how it would apply as it relates to that fully.
Well, I would say going from a two-dimensional space to a three-dimensional space. No, because it's still before and
You
after.
still have the
No,
same
honestly, I
things
can't. I
applied,
think
yeah.
you might got me there. I can't really think of that.
All right, well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, let's get the next person up here. Everyone, only send a guest request if you do believe Christianity is true. We are just looking for some debates, y'all. Let's get this next person up here, everyone. All right, let's get them up here. Only send a guest request if you do believe Christianity is true, y'all.
Me?
Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Oh, hi. I'm 24.
For sure, do you believe Christianity is true?
I do.
Why so? Actually, you have a huge echo. Is there a way you can fix that?
Personally, there's an echo. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, my speaker's on. Sorry, I had one there. Is that better?
You're good. Yeah, that should be better.
Okay. So personally, I grew up believing in Jesus and, the resurrection of God. But I feel like even if I didn't have that background, I would have still been led to Christianity. Not just Christianity as a religion, but a relationship to my God.
No, but why do you believe it's true?
Many occasions made me believe it's true outside of my parents wanting me to, believe in the religion. Many occasions allowed for me to believe in it. And I'll say one of them being I was filled
By the way,
with...
Cameron, thank you so much for the $22. I don't know if I did say that. Thank you so much, Cameron. I'm asking, why do you believe it to be true? What's your reason?
Yeah, I was going into that. So one of the reasons being, this might be beyond what you could understand, but I feel like many people in the chat could understand, in the live could understand. I got filled with the Holy Spirit, and you look like you're like question mark, you don't understand it. And it's completely understandable for someone who hasn't experienced something like that to experience it.
Was it consensual?
It was consensual.
Okay.
I have a love for God, and it started when I was a young girl,
Wait, so are you saying he filled you up when you were young?
Don't be perverse. That's very I don't think you understand. Okay, so I wanted to say something.
I mean, that might have been not the first time. I mean, he did it with Mary, with his mom.
I wanted to say something about I feel like you don't understand, the love that people have for their God. And I feel like you don't realize it maybe, but it really is disrespectful to go against something that's people have believed for a very long time. Not only that, but it's just I feel like you wouldn't be doing this to other religions right now. Would you be doing this to
Islam is false. Yeah.
You
Other
would come on
religions are false. Yeah.
Okay, but I've seen so many lives about Christianity is not real. Why?
Yeah, because I live in the U.S. and most people are Christian. It impacts the society I live in more.
Okay, fair. But how? Okay, so I have a question for you. How does this directly correlate to your life? Has anything happened in your life that made you want to just go against Christianity?
It's conceptually impossible. It's nothing that happened in my life. It's just conceptually impossible.
nothing that happened in your life made
Nope.
you want to do this?
Nope.
You just wanted
Or
to.
not like believe this, but to come on here and say these things, I could say yeah. I think that I've seen it be effective in changing people's beliefs and opinions, and I think that it's important to have the ability to differentiate between beliefs, because if you don't have the ability to differentiate between beliefs, well then you're just as likely to follow, right, delusions and falsehoods as you are to follow reality.
Okay. But I just want to say too that, you know, as humans, there's like 7 to 8 billion of us here, and we have different variations of what reality is, you know. So I just think it's important for us to respect the differences without, you know, coming on live saying Christianity is fake, knowing that this is something that is deep rooted in a lot of people's lives and they believe it very firmly, like 100%. And it is very offensive to me, you know, to come on here and see stuff like this. You know, I'm not
Cry about it.
I'm not
No,
necessarily I'm not
yeah,
necessarily a Christian.
respectfully, if me saying that your religion is fake is offensive to you, cry about it. Okay? Right? It's false, right? I'm not going to sit here and just say it's okay for you to believe your delusional beliefs, right? Because you believe it and you hold it dear. Okay? I understand that. It makes sense to me that you want to hold it dear, that you feel comfortable believing it, but it's false and it impacts the society I live in. It impacts the rights that my family has, right? I care about that. I think that's important to me.
False to your perspective,
So I'm
though.
not going to let your religion get in between that.
But it's false to your perspective. What if you took a second to
It's not just to my perspective. It's if it's logic. It's illogical. That's what I'm saying, right? It doesn't make sense for a perfect being to want to create something, because then that would entail that there's something more desirable than perfection. If God is perfect and that's the most desirable state of affairs, that's flawless, you cannot have something more desirable than that. So God plus creation cannot possibly be more desirable than God existing alone.
but we can't come here saying we know more than what our creator knows, and we believe in a
Well,
creator.
this creator doesn't exist, the one that you're referencing. So obviously I couldn't compare the two.
Okay, well, my creator does exist, but you know, you wouldn't understand that, of course, because you don't understand it, simply put. But
Well, because it's irrational. I can't understand something that's irrational, right? Can you
It's
understand what it would mean for
from your
a glass to be full of water and empty of water simultaneously? No, you
but
can't understand that because it's incoherent gibberish.
right. Okay. But what I'm saying is it's inconceivable to you and to what your understanding of what reality is. I'm saying that you could be open to maybe saying, not saying you believe it, but at least being open to saying that you respect that someone else has a different opinion from what, you know, you have.
Oh, I don't really mean by respect here. Like, I'm going to respect you, but I think you have a false belief.
But I think it's coming off disrespectful, though.
Cry. Okay, if me saying your belief is false is disrespectful to you, cry. I'm sorry, no offense, but cry. Okay, that is confirmation bias. Okay? That's not an actual reason to say that something is offensive, okay? Be totally real. You're just using the terms offensive, right, to apply to everything, like when it doesn't apply. It's literally just me saying your belief is false. It's literally like what you do in a debate. Okay, if you think that's mean, I appreciate Little Ground, thank you so much. You just can't critique your own belief system, right? And that's not an issue on my behalf. That's not me being disrespectful. That's not me being rude. That's me just saying that it's wrong.
Yeah, but you're saying it like you're essentially coming against what people believe. That's basically, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a debate. Yeah, of course. I disagree with you. JJ, I appreciate
But
the subscription.
I
Thank you so
feel
much.
like- Are you just debating for fun, or
No, because I think that you guys impact society in a negative way. It's
You
social
guys?
advocacy. It's to get people to critical think. And many Christians have a block on critical thinking because they want to hold to their belief being true so badly.
but a lot of people aren't necessarily Christians. They're just believers of God. They don't go by a specific religion, such as Christianity. They just believe in God.
Yeah, and
and have
I'm not
relig-
necessarily talking to them. I'm just talking to the Christians right now.
That's interesting. I don't know. I'm thinking about it because, you know, like
Other notions
Catholicism.
of God are logically possible. Do I think they're reasonable to believe? No, because I don't think you can justify it's more probable that